to thank all the great turnout of our candidates and our community members. And my name is Douglas Shah. I am the president of the APAPA Delta chapter, and this is Len Win.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming here today. What's a pleasure and honor for us to have all of you here, all the candidates and the staff and the community member, especially the Chinese community member. Welcome.
I love this diversified group, and we have such a nice turnout, and we even have the veterans. And I'd like to thank our veterans for letting us use their premises and protecting our freedom and liberty. And I always love to use this narrative from Marco Rubio. He said, my grandfather, when he came to the country, he read the Spanish newspaper. And it was the Spanish newspaper that made him a good citizen. So I have been telling especially our Chinese community members, they always say, oh, my English is not good, it's not important. Well, I want to tell them that you don't need English proficiency to be a good American citizen. And you don't need good English proficiency to make a good vote. All you have to do, put your heart and make your wise choice.
As you can see in the audience, these are leaders in their respective groups. There are so many different Asian community groups in Stockton here, and these are leaders of this group. So please welcome them too. Thank you.
So I'm going to make a little Chinese speech to our Chinese audience, okay? 咁各位我哋華人嘅鄉親朋友今日好多謝你哋嚟呢度你哋嚟到呢度可以表示到我哋係關心我哋周圍嘅時事，我哋嘅聲音係可以影響到社會嘅進度同埋方向，所以你哋多謝你今日賞面過嚟支持我哋到10月5號投你明智嘅一票。All right, so I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our APAPA organization. We have our CEO, Mary Yin, and our moderator, Sean Yan. So, so are we ready for our Pledge of Allegiance? All right? So, face the flag. I pledge to the flag, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God,
indivisible,
and liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Thank
Now
you.
is our national anthem time. We have our board member from San Joaquin County, Jesse Aquina. He is doing our national anthem. Thank you.
Oh, what's the microphone? Sorry. Oh, say, can you see my dance early
What a voice! What a voice! Thank you, Jesse. Now we have our Captain Ruth, our chaplain, Captain Ruth, to do our invocation for us. Captain Ruth, thank you.
I am alive. First of all, I'd like to thank the APAPA for inviting me, especially Danny Lee, to do the invocation and the benediction. If you'd so care to do so, you're welcome to stand as I pray. Heavenly Father, a person who is interested in the history of the United States of America will soon discover that for the American society to succeed, we would need to be a religious and moral people. It was warned by the Founding Fathers that this state, that of being a religious and moral people, would always be under attack and subject to change if it were not for the vigilance of the people. When the people rely on big government, they flirt with the loss of this grand experiment. One of those founding fathers, Lord, was Benjamin Franklin, who rightly articulated that a nation of well-informed men who have been taught to know and prize the rights God has given them cannot be enslaved. It is in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins. So, Lord, we gather here today to ask for your blessing on those who would abide by and encourage the teachings in your word, that we might again be the righteous nation that you established 248 years ago. Seek our hearts. Draw us ever closer to you. The prophet Micah, more than 2,500 years ago, presented this challenge to all who would be righteous and godly. The Lord has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. In the name of the one who was, who is, and who is to come, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was a wonderful kickoff and start to this beautiful program today. My name is Mary Yin Liu. I'm the National CEO for APAPA, and I just wanted to share how very excited and honored we are to have 22 amazing candidates and public servants in this room with us tonight. You know, our mission at APAPA is a nonprofit mission, is to support and advance our AA, NHPI, and diverse communities through leadership and civic engagement. You are our shining stars. You're the reason that we're here. We have 40 grassroots chapters across the country, from here to New York and Washington, D.C. Next year, we're going to be celebrating our 25th year silver anniversary as a nonprofit. It's truly grassroots, so our chapter leaders across the country are holding many of these meet and greets and town halls because we want to support you, your message, and the community. And we are very honored that you do so much good work, make such a great impact. We know many of you individually as friends in the community, and we are very grateful for your leadership and for joining us today. I do want to give a shout out to our wonderful chapter leaders here today. We have several who are greeting guests by the front door: Cynthia, Melody, and others. Thank you so much to all the volunteers. And a shout out to Lan Nguyen, here the president of the local chapter San Joaquin, and Delta chapter led by Douglas Shea and many, many others. So it truly takes a village. It's a team of leadership. I'm very honored also to be with my partner today and moderator, Sean Yang, who helps to lead the Central Valley region for APAPA too. So thank you for continuing this great legacy in our community. And I'd like to introduce Lan to come on up and thank our sponsors. Thank you so much, Lan.
Hello.
Yeah. So before our great forum to commence, we are going to introduce our chapter board members. And I start with myself, excuse me. Okay, Douglas Shah, chapter president. And then with Jinjo Kotobi. And Stephen Lee. And our very important person, our advisor, Danny Lee. Right. Thank you for your wisdom and your experience.
Sangwakin chapter, we right now only have me, the president, and this is my VP. We have some other board member, but they cannot be here today. Thank you. Oh, I would like to, announce. Oh, okay. Yeah. This event cannot be, happen without financial support from many organizations and business groups. The most important sponsor come from headquarters. We got together 2 chapters. We got 3,900 from the headquarters for this Pacific event. But also we got a sponsor from Jazz Espresso. He going to serve us a drink later today from his specialty drink truck. And we also have sponsor from the Oriental Chef here in Stockton. And Steamboat Landing Restaurant in Walnut Grove. From Walnut Grove. Yeah, so we want to say thank to them, and can we have applause for them? Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to announce that my mom, she made the spam musubi. So if you like the spam musubi, thank my mom over there.
Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. Jassy and his mom just traveled last week to Hawaii, and they just landed here last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. So she make it this morning for us. So please try them and support her business later on. Thank you.
Now, let the forum begin. So I introduce our moderator, Sean Yan. You are going to take over now. And Marianne. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Honored guests, our candidates, our elected officials, our volunteers, and our sponsors. Welcome to our candidate forum in La Torte. Did I pronounce that correctly? La Torte. All right. I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Sean Yang. I'm the current APAPA Central Valley Region Chair. We have 10 chapters in our region. Very, very proud. We're doing a lot of great work to uplift our community. As you know, this year is election years from the presidential level all the way to the school board level. Every position, every seat is very vital to our community. So thank you for all the candidates for throwing your names in the hat to run to serve our community that's much needed your leadership. Facts. California is a state with over 39 million people and 482 cities. San Joaquin has a population of over 800,000 people, and it's rapidly growing. Many diverse families from all backgrounds with many generations are here. And a wide range of issues various degrees of importance for voters and residents. We want to know what are your priorities if you're elected November 5th, and how would you serve our community? Now I introduce you to Mary Lou as
Hi,
my
everyone.
co-moderator.
Hi, everyone. Yes.
Put a little closer.
Yes. So the main questions are to learn about you and your background. What are your priorities? How will you serve your community when you are first assuming office on November 5th? The overall community as well as our diverse communities. There are over 20% Asia Pacific Islander residents in San Joaquin Valley area and growing. Many of them are immigrants as well. My parents were immigrants. They started this wonderful nonprofit to serve the community nearly 25 years ago. And many of us have those backgrounds. So that is something we wanted to keep in mind. It's a very diverse population. I just learned about Little Manila, which is in a cultural location in Stockton. It's highly revered. The Filipino migrant workers made that their footprint. And the Transcontinental Railroad, the Chinese Americans who contributed in the 1800s, as well as the Japanese Americans who were farmers and worked in the fields and made this country so great with so many positive contributions. So we want to hear from you, and we're very open to hearing your approach and your priorities and perspectives about public safety, crime, law enforcement, partnerships, and how you will work with our community to improve jobs, address the homeless crisis, and many other concerns that we all share. So we very much thank you again for your time. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.
So without further ado, we would like to introduce our first panel. I want to welcome our one candidate only on this panel. Unfortunately, the other candidate could not be here today. So let's give a round of applause for Denise Adeguela Mendez, running for California Assembly 13.
So first, thank you so much for being here today. It is so important that we are involved in our elections. My name is Denise Aguilar Mendez, and I'm your candidate for State Assembly to represent Stockton, Tracy, and Mountain House. And I want to apologize for my opponent not being here. This is part of the reason why I got into politics, because I feel like my elected representatives are not listening to me. I feel like I have no access to them, and we need to start changing the conversation in politics. So I am new to seeking a political seat, but I'm not new to being involved in politics. I've been working at the Capitol for almost a decade, working in legislation that impacts our children and our families. And in all of the years that I've been in Sacramento, I can't even tell you how many egregious laws have been passed that you don't even know about. And now it's time for change. It's time to have real conversations with everybody's voices at the table. Now, in the 10 years I've been working at the Capitol, part of my legislation has been working across party lines. I work with both Democrats and Republicans, because you can't get any work done if you don't. I've worked with Senator Shannon Grove to push forward bills like SB 14 and SB 1414, which categorizes child human trafficking as a serious felony. And it's unfortunate that in California, it was not considered a serious felony. So beyond the issues that we're dealing with in Sacramento, I know all of us are concerned about the homeless crisis that we're dealing with the crime, and with the economy. And those are some of the things we have to address, and we address that by actually asking our elected representatives where all of our tax money has went. We have invested $17 billion within the homeless industrial complex. We have $24 billion that's unaccounted for, and we still have a homeless crisis happening here in our district and all across the state of California. The accountability is not there in Sacramento. It's not there from our local electeds, and it's not there to our state representatives. And it's time that we start having those conversations. The legislation that I've worked on really has focused on children. We have legislators who have went on to the Senate floor talking about the party has been protecting predators for 12 years. And we have to start having those conversations. Why isn't our safety and well-being a priority here in our district? Why do we have to fight constantly to be represented when we have a homeless crisis, we have families that are sleeping under bridges, and we have billions of dollars taken from us in our tax money? And so we can ask, where did all our money go? That's one of my priorities, is to do an audit here in the district, and that may not sit well with a lot of people, but I want to know where our money has went and why there are families still being unhoused. A lot of the issues that we're facing right now in California is due to the bad policies coming out of Sacramento. And in California, we're a 2-year legislation. We just finished legislation, and not one piece came out of Sacramento that actually addressed anything that we're dealing with. Our legislature can address our PG&E by addressing the California Public Commission, Utilities Commission, but they didn't. They can pause the gas tax, but they didn't. Come January, we can expect to have 2 gas tax increases. Can we afford that? Gavin Newsom just called in a special session with warnings from other states asking him, please stop the special session. You're going to increase the cost of gas for Californians, but also for people in Oregon and also for people in Arizona, because we sell gas to them. So what do we do now? We're in a community where we do not have a livable wage. We have a community where our rent is tripled what it was a few years ago. Our gas is increasing, our cost of food is increasing, and the quality of our food has decreased. Along with all of the issues that deal with our economy and all the homeless issues, I want to address the issues of our children and our families and the food that we're eating that addresses the chronic health conditions that our children are facing, asthma, diabetes. All of these things can be addressed if we start addressing our food. And so while I want to address the other issues that we're all dealing with, we also want to address the issues that people aren't talking about. I want protection of children and families. And outside at the table that I have, there's a big map of all of the bills that have been passed in Sacramento that don't represent me, some of the bills that I've actually worked on. And we have to have those conversations. And it may not affect you directly. There's a bill, SB 132. Doesn't affect you. None of us are in prison right now. But this bill allows men to transfer to women's prisons. And guess what? You're paying $4 million a year out of your taxpayer dollars for men to transition into what they would consider women. How is this happening without any of us knowing? It is because there are 2,000 bills passed every single legislative session, and none of us know about it because our legislators are not here talking to us about it. And so I'm a grassroots candidate. I'm not supported by any special interest groups. I'm not taking any money from any lobbyists, no developers, because once you start taking money like that, you start becoming beholden to them. And so I want to address things in a way that it's of the people, for the people, by the people, because what's happening in Sacramento is not representative of us. So again, I want to thank you so much for being involved in the legislative process and being involved in elections. Because right now, nobody is being represented. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. I was a lifelong Democrat, and I had to stop identifying with that party because of the extreme and radical laws that have been passed out of Sacramento. So I thank you for being here, and I hope I can earn your vote today. I'll be outside, and I'll be in here. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions if you have it. Thank you very much.
Going to do a quick.
Thank you so.
Going to do a quick ground rule that we skipped. So
Yeah.
I
And
just
thank
want
you
to
so
announce.
much, Denise. Thank you so
thank
much.
you. I just want to announce that all candidates are giving the exact same rules and time allocated on the charge that is listed. And please observe our timekeeper, which is she's in the front. So she's going to raise that time sign at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then when your time is up, she's going to put up the stop sign. And all audience, please no cheering, no campaign materials are to be displayed inside this hall.
Oh, during their
What is that? I'm sorry.
You can share after her remarks, but
Not during her remarks, yeah, but afterwards you can, yes. And all audience, please remain respectfully silenced during the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We have next our supervisor race with 3 candidates. For District 3, Steve DeBrum and Sunny Liwa, and for District 1, Supervisor Maria Santiago Gardia. And I'll share again the 2 questions. What do you think is the most important issue and priorities for your constituents that you would like to address? And the most important issues and constituents for the diversity population, including the Asian Pacific Islander community. One area that we wanted to share is that this is a bit top of mind for all residents, including the API community, is public safety and relating to the homeless population. Emerging from the pandemic, the API community faced escalating hate crimes. In the heart of this county, the city of Stockton stands out as being 8th at the top of the list of the most dangerous cities to live in for the state. A recent report from the California Department of Justice analyzed crimes over a 10-year period up until 2022, and it's very surprising to learn that San Joaquin County ranks number 1 for the highest rate of violent crime in the state, followed by San Francisco, where I was born. The report shows that there were 72 incidents of violent crime per 1,000 residents in this county, which is nearly double the statewide average. And just for some perspective, 14% of violent crimes in Orange County, but 40% of violent crimes in this county with a gun. So this really underscores, we thought, the urgency to address public safety. It's one of the topics, and we'll be sharing these kind of information just for your mindset as you address many important topics. But we very much respect and want to hear what you have to say about various issues, including public safety. But with that said, we'd like to first welcome candidate for supervisor in District 3, Mr. Steve DeBrum. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me get this down a little bit. Thank you very much. It certainly is a pleasure to be here today. Just to give you just a brief information about myself, I'm a retired dairy farmer. I worked on the city council for 15 years, and in addition, I was an award-winning volunteer in our community. Now to answer the questions. Number 1 is homelessness and public safety and crime in San Joaquin County, and the question was put, what are we going to do? I feel like I'm bouncing off back there. Can you hear that? Okay. So I'm going to work diligently with our Sheriff's Department. What I certainly believe is the fact that I want to put additional sheriffs on the department, because the work that we've got going and the direction that we're going to move in our county to reduce the crime in the event that we're looking at. So let's take a look at some of the things that we're talking about. So when we talk about the stealing that's going on in the community, we got to make sure that Prop 36 is going to pass and that we're going to move in that direction, working diligently to make an improvement in that direction. The other big issue that was talked about just briefly is the issue of individuals and that's being what I want to say with children that's being affected. When we look at California and we look at Highway 8510 that goes back to the East Coast, that we find children are being placed in harm's way. And we need to make a difference as we continue to move forward in our county. We have to work with our district attorney, Ron Freitas, making sure that we're making every effort possible to reduce the recidivism of the crimes that are in our county, making a difference, moving in the right direction. When I look at the issues of the Asian population, I'm looking at hate crimes. What are we going to do? There should be no hate crimes of any kind. I don't care if you're black, white, red, green, whatever. There should be no hate crimes. We need to work with our DA. We need to reduce that crime that is in our counties. We need to work diligently to make a difference, working with the Sheriff's Department. I will volunteer and say, look, I will work on your behalf as your candidate to make sure that that happens. And as we continue to go forward, let's make a difference, but it's going to take everyone working together. It's just not Steve DeBrum. I've got to listen to all the people who are out there working in our communities. It's working hand in hand. We need to put together advocacy groups that's going to work no matter what we're doing, whatever kind of crime that we're working. If we're working on the homeless situation, if we're working on the hate crimes in our community, it's all about people working together to make a difference, no matter what we do. Diligent, but about the people working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steve. We'd now like to welcome from District 3 Supervisor candidate Sunny Dhaliwal. Thank you so much, Sunny. Thank you.
Thank you so much. APAPA, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to speak to our citizens. My name is Sunny Dhaliwal. I've been involved in Lathrop since 2003. I served as a planning commissioner for 3 years, a council member for 6 years, and this is my 6th consecutive term as mayor. It's a 2-year term, so I'll be completing 12 years in December. Lathrop was a small city when we moved there in '96, maybe like 6,000 to 7,000 population, but now we are flourishing. We are #1 fastest growing city in California and #5 in the nation. Out of 15 desired places in the nation where people want to live, Lathrop is one of them. But it has not, 22 years in public service, but it has not been an easy ride. During 2008, when everything was going in a decline, our city faced $15 million deficit in 2013. We worked hard, we made very difficult, some unpopular decisions, but things turned around. Instead of a $15 million deficit, we had $6.5 million surplus in 2012. So I have experienced tough times. We worked through tough times. But now the city, out of 430 cities, the state does an audit of 430 cities. We are #9 when it comes to economic sustainability. 2 years ago, we had 28 deputies protecting our cities. They did a great job for 33 years. But 2 years ago, we started our own department, and now we have 45 sworn officers to protect our families. And that's the type of energy and leadership I will bring to the table. But the top priorities are public safety is always #1, addressing the homelessness issue, maintaining and improving our infrastructure, and working with our district attorney about hate crime was mentioned. I was born and raised in India, and during the first Gulf War, I was told twice, go where you came from. So I know how it feels. And I will work with our sheriff, I will work with our district attorney. Any perpetrator of hate crime must be arrested and prosecuted. Those will be my top priority: job creation and economic development. And that's what we've been doing in Lathrop. Whatever I have learned, I will bring to the table. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. May God bless you, and may God bless our great nation, the United States of America.
Sunny. Please join me in thanking Steve DeBrum and Sunny Dhaliwal for Supervisor in District 3. Thank you so much. Thank you. We would now like to introduce and welcome 2 candidates for Supervisor District 1, Mario Santiago Gardia and Liliana Udang, who are joining us today. First, Mario Santiago Gardia, please join us and share some remarks. Is Mario here? No, okay. Liliana Udang, thank you, Liliana. Thank you so much. Love to hear from you. Appreciate it.
Hi folks, my name is Liliana Udang. I'm running to be the supervisor in San Joaquin County District 1, which is all of South Stockton. I was born and raised just down the road here off of Mont Diablo near Lewis Park. I grew up in this city, and like a lot of folks that grow up here and want to make something of themselves, they feel like they need to leave. And so I did. I went to school. I went to UC Santa Cruz. I went to law school at McGeorge School of Law. And throughout my time, I realized what a good functioning county government can mean to the people that live here. And so I made it my mission to learn what I could, get a degree, and give back to my community. And so as soon as I graduated from law school, I began working in the state legislature, and I have been there for the last 7 years. I know what it takes to leverage state, federal, and local dollars to make sure we get the most for our community. And right now, what I have seen in my 34 years of life is a lack of comprehensive and forward strategy. We need to be looking at issues of homelessness comprehensively, because slapping a Band-Aid and saying, I put up a new shelter, is not a solution to homelessness. But creating pathways for folks who are on the streets, going into shelters, into transitional housing, finding those career pathways and services and educational opportunities once they are stable, and then finding them permanent supportive housing. That is how you solve homelessness. And so we need to review all of the money that we have spent thus far, and we need to think about all of the money that's going to be coming down because of Prop 1 passing in March. We have the opportunity to set Stockton and San Joaquin County up for the future, and we need to have people in place who have the foresight to consider what it's going to be like for my 6-year-old who's going to grow up here. I want to see public safety, of course, but I also want to see our communities engaged in the conversation and not being told how it's going to be. Because unless you are communicating with the people you are policing, it's never going to work, because trust will not be built. And so we need to make sure that we are approaching this in a common sense of fashion, but also with compassion for human dignity. I also want to focus in here, you guys know we are right next to a levee. Stockton has some of the highest flood risk in the entire country, and we do not talk about what that means for the people that live here unless you get hit with mandatory flood insurance. It is a citywide issue, not just a levee-wide issue. And so we need to be considering those facts when we're making choices at the county board. Finally, I want to make transparency and accessibility of your local government a cornerstone of my first few years in office. We have Tuesday meetings every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. And I don't know about you, but I work from 9 to 5. I cannot make a Tuesday 9 a.m. meeting. And so I would like to try to see us expand our opportunities for civic engagement and advancement. It's not enough to say, well, we put an agenda out, read it, and then watch it online. Because the same people come to those meetings time after time, and those are not the only voices in San Joaquin County. And I will tell you that final thing. I want to be the new generation that is coming up and supporting kids and trying to just get by day to day by buying groceries and going to work. And nobody currently sitting on the board is experiencing that right now, right? Because I'm 34. I'm about 20 years younger than the youngest person currently sitting on the board. They don't experience these problems. I'm a renter. We have no renters sitting on the board. So they don't understand the implications that housing policy have on people when it comes to their pocketbooks. So I want to be that next generation of leadership at the county. I want to be the person that's representing the people who live here, who work here, and who have grown up here. I'm not trying to be a politician to get to the next level. I don't need this job. I want this job for my family and for my community. So I hope that I can earn your vote on November 5th if you live in District 1. And if you do not live in District 1, please come and talk to me, because every vote that we take out the county level impacts every single person that lives in San Joaquin County. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we call on another candidate to come up here, I would like to read this quick message to you all. We appreciate the background you share, also why you decide to run for this important office position. Share your current career and your personal story a bit as well. Young people will looking up to you as a role model. APAPA has an internship program for college students who work with public officials. It's a great mentorship program as well as professional development program. How you would inspire and what is the differences you want to make. With that said, we have a candidate that just arrived for seat Assembly 13. So I would like to take this time to, she was on time. I think we were just moving a little bit fast on our program, so I would like to apologize for that. So let's welcome Radisha Remsen up here. You have 6 minutes.
Thank you. It's good to see your program moving right along. First of all, I want to thank all of you who came out on your Saturday. It's 24 days for election, and like some of the other candidates, I am out there spending every minute that I can talking to voters. I am proud and honored to be standing here today as your candidate for the California State Assembly. It's been the honor of my life to serve this community for the last 2 decades. I grew up serving in the community. Can you all hear me? There's like an echo. Can you guys hear me okay? I grew up serving the community. So to me, being in political office is not about, being something. It's about getting something done. And if you look at my record of service in this community, that's what I've done. It's what I've done my entire life. I grew up the granddaughter of a missionary, and we learned that when you got together with people, you can collaborate, you can get things done, and that's what I've done for our community. When I saw kids in my community struggling, I worked with our school superintendent, and we saw that too many kids were being pushed out of school. There was a huge achievement gap between different races. Kids were in need of mental health and mentorship. I started a nonprofit organization that's been in existence for 20 years, serving kids throughout our county, making sure that they were connected with mental health professionals, whether it's clinical social workers or counselors, making sure that they had access to mentors, making sure that they built self-confidence, also working with the Juvenile Justice Department to make sure that we were not allowing kids to fall victim of the systems, kids going from foster care, getting wrapped up into gangs and things like that. We really wanted to make sure that young people had a way out. When I saw my community struggling with homelessness, I ran for the Tracy City Council. I got elected, started the first homelessness task force, and even when our city council members were not on the same page, I worked with the community. I got 87 members of the community together. We started a task force, we raised the money, we worked with housing community development, and guess what? We wrote a strategic plan, we got the money, we raised the money in order to build the first permanent housing shelter there. When we were in a structural budget deficit and we weren't able to get testing for COVID, I was able to get that done. People talk about real estate developers. I've been able to work with the developers because what we have going on is a housing crisis. So I was able to work with the developers and get them to agree to build the first affordable housing project in my community in over 50 years. I think you see the theme, I get things done for the community. This seat for the California State Assembly is not a seat to go experiment. It's not a seat to go figure out what you want to do. There's lots of different ways to serve the community. I want to make sure that we have representation that knows how to collaborate, how to get things done. I have 3 adult children, and like many other folks are dealing with right now, it's important that those kids, my kids, are able to continue to stay in the community that they grew up in. And the price of housing is just out of control. So I'm running to make sure we can save the California dream for people like my kids, like your kids, like even some of our seniors who are looking for ways to stay in our community. Too many businesses are being pushed out, too many people are being pushed out, and it's because no one is focusing on what the cost of things are, the cost of building, the cost of housing, the cost of, just goods. And so I want to be able to fight to bring things down. You asked that we speak about, what we've done in our career. Most recently, you've heard about me serving on the city council. You've heard about me running a nonprofit. Most recently, I had the honor to serve as a district director for Congressman Josh Harder. And if any of you have seen the work that he's done, we've been getting things done for the community. When our law enforcement needed support, whether it's for stopping drug trafficking in our community, fighting fentanyl, giving mental health services to the police department, that was something that I was able to work with our congressman on. I've been able to work with our law enforcement department, our police department, our sheriff's department, in order to make sure that we have equitable policies throughout the community, that they have the funding and resources, because they should not be dealing with issues such as homelessness. They need to be able to have a fully staffed department, so we've been making sure that they have the resources that they need to get things done. I'm a founding member of the Tracy Police Activities League because we want to make sure that we have collaborative community policing to be able to go out there and keep our young people safe and give them safe activities and mentorship. So it's really all about what you can do to get things done. I'm all about making sure we get things done. I'm very proud and honored to be supported by a lot of folks that you all know and care about. That includes people like the California's Teachers Association, because I've been able to support teachers with restorative practices, making sure that they have safe schools to teach in. I'm supported by our current sheriff, our sheriff deputies, because I've been able to work with them. I've been supported by our building trades community because we're helping to create local jobs. Nobody should have to sit on the freeway and travel 2 and 3 hours back and forth every day. We want people to be able to come home and work with their families. So I'm working with the building trades, and we're working on making sure that we're able to get the Valley Link project completed. That is a project that connects, our region to the Bay Area, which is where people are already working. So these are all things, these are not ideas that I'm like one day want to work on. These are things that I'm working on right now. You are not going to find any other candidate more prepared for this state assembly seat than me. I am proud and honored to represent you. I am effective. I am responsive. Everybody has my cell phone number. And I really believe in bringing people together. I'm not about the divide and conquer politics that you keep hearing people, push out there. I'm all about what we can do to work together to get things done. So please join me in support so that we can make sure that our community has the representation that it deserves. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. All right, next panel, we have two very important candidates. Just wanted to announce that our first candidate, Josh Harder, is not here. I'm sorry, okay, he's here, okay. All right, well, then I have to change my message, I guess. All right, so just a second, if you don't mind, just a second. Yeah, just a second. Our ground rule for this U.S. Congress seat is a little bit different. Both candidates get 6 minutes for the questions that we already sent to you. And then after that, we have 2 additional questions that we give you 2 minutes of extra time to answer them. With that said, in U.S. Congress, California District 9, we asked 2 additional questions of each Congress candidate following the open-ended 6 minutes window. The candidates are giving 2 extra minutes to answer the 2 additional questions. With that said, I would like to welcome our 2 candidates for U.S. Congress. First, Josh Harder, and our current mayor of Stockton, Kevin Lincoln. Come up here, please.
Not sure this one works. Yeah, I don't know if that one works. Well, fantastic. Well, I'm Congressman Josh Harder. It is a real honor to be here. Huge thanks to APAPA and all of the leadership to put today's event together, and a real thanks to all of you for showing up and participating in our democracy and hearing from candidates at all levels of government. I also want to have a huge thanks to my wife, Pam Harder, who has joined today, making sure our home life is kept good. I'm running for office because I really love San Joaquin County. I'm a 5th-generation resident of our area. My great-great-grandfather got on a wagon train in 1850. He came 5,000 miles in search of gold, and then he stopped 50 miles short, didn't quite make it all the way, and ended up farming peaches in Manteca instead. Now I live in Tracy with my wife, Pam, and our 2 adorable little kids, our 6-month-old Karina and our 2.5-year-old Lillian. If you ever want a sleepless night or to see a perpetual energy machine, you can see our kids at a playground anywhere across San Joaquin County. And we've gotten to work over the last couple years on the issues that matter most to our area. We've made some big successes. Just earlier this year, we opened, for the first time ever, the VA clinic in French Camp. Took 21 years of work and community support to get that done, and it's making a huge difference for our veterans. We've worked to lower the price of insulin and other prescription drugs. Half of San Joaquin County is diabetic or pre-diabetic. We've made a huge difference in saving folks thousands of dollars every single month that they were paying in way too high health care costs. We also have a lot more work to do. One of the things that I spent a lot of my time working on is trying to build a coalition to stop the Delta Tunnel project once and for all. That's a project that many of you know about. It's been kicked around, discussed for decades. It would take the water from San Joaquin County and the Delta and ship it down to Southern California, just so Beverly Hills and Los Angeles down there can have greener lawns. Absolutely disastrous for a region like ours. We're the fruit and nut basket of the world. That's why my family settled here 174 years ago. That's why many folks in our Asian community settled here to become farmers and farm workers and to contribute to the fabric of Stockton and San Joaquin County. We have to keep that up if we're going to be able to make sure that we can continue our agricultural legacy that's been passed down and make sure that we're investing money not in a boondoggle scheme that's going to waste taxpayer resources, but in projects that can actually make more water for everybody. Second thing I'm spending a lot of my time on is trying to make sure that we are lowering costs. We talked about housing costs. That's important. One of the fastest growing costs in San Joaquin County is PG&E. This is a corporation that is making $2 billion in profit every single year and is on their 4th rate hike just this year alone. Absolutely outrageous. There are folks in Stockton who are paying more to PG&E than they're paying in their rent and mortgage every single month. We can do better. It's completely ridiculous. And one of the things that really has empowered me as a legislator to do the right thing, regardless of party line, regardless of what special interests think, is I don't take a dollar of corporate PAC money, not now, not ever, from PG&E or any other corporation trying to buy a vote. We need a democracy by and for the people. And that's what freed me to be able to do everything we can to make sure that we're lowering the cost of PG&E. We do that 2 ways. I have a bill called the Stop the Rate Hikes Act, which is exactly what it says, stopping the rate hikes once and for all, and then a second effort to make sure that we can introduce more competition into the markets and eliminate the monopoly that PG&E has had for far too long. I'll mention one other issue, which is the work that we have to do on public safety, and that's especially true here in Stockton. We've had a disastrous approach for far too long, and we need to do better. I've helped try to make sure that we're secure resources for our county sheriff's department. Just this year, we opened a new real-time crime center to make sure that we had more information going out both to our community members and to our law enforcement members to make sure that everybody in our community can stay safe. I have 2 young daughters, and I want to make sure that when they're playing in the front lawn, when they're wandering around the neighborhood, they have the same right to safety and security that folks have anywhere else in the country. I sat down, I did a ride-along with one of our police officers, and he told me, you know, if you have a cat stuck in a tree in Palo Alto, they send out 2 cop cars and a fire truck. If you have a cat stuck in a tree in Stockton, we tell you it's time to buy a new cat. We just do not have enough police officers, sometimes due to the decisions made by our city, and we're 100 police officers short across Stockton right now. That's a major issue that needs to change. And not just the police officers, but the laws to ensure that everybody can be kept safe. Those are things that we're working on, making sure that we can fight for our water, ensuring that we are lowering costs, housing costs, PG&E costs, prescription drug costs, and ensuring that everybody has that right to dignity and safety that they deserve. So thank you guys so much for all your time. Happy to take questions, or I guess we're doing questions later, so thank you again so much for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you, APAPA. Thank you, everybody from the community, for being here today. My name is Kevin Lincoln, the current mayor of Stockton and one of your congressional candidates for California's 9th Congressional District. I'm a husband of 22 years. I'm a father of 2 amazing children. My son is a junior at college right now. We dropped him off. He transferred 2 months ago. He surprised us this past Thursday. He had an extended weekend and made his mom cry. And it was just a joy to see him, and he's been able to hang out with me on the campaign trail the last couple of days and has a red eye. Back to college next week on Sunday. My daughter, she's a senior in high school. She was accepted into college in nursing school, so really excited about that. So she'll be going in the fall. This community, Stockton, raised me. I'm a 3rd-generation Stocktonian. I'm running for Congress because I believe that Washington, on both sides, have got it wrong. We've lost sight of what's important, and what's important is service, putting people first. And in Stockton, we've proven that when we come together, we're able to make progress, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, regardless of what the issues we're facing. If we work together, not only on the dais as elected officials, but with our community-based organizations, public, private, nonprofit partnerships, we could really focus on addressing the root causes in our community so that people in our community can take the next steps towards hope and receive healing in their life. I've experienced economic hardships, social hardships. My own father, who didn't raise me, experienced a life of addiction and crime in this community, and homelessness. And I'm happy to say that the last 26 years, he's been clean and sober, that the YMCA of San Joaquin County has given him a second chance, and that now he's been given back to at-risk youth in our community for over 20 years, what he could never give me growing up. And what I tell people is I forgave my father a long time ago, and I'm thankful for the man that he is today. But that's the power of community. That's the power of working together. That's the power of partnership. The American people are struggling right now. The cost of living, out of control inflation, the influx of fentanyl over the last several years, an 800% increase in fentanyl seizures at the border. 800%. In San Joaquin County alone, we've lost 113 residents as a result of fentanyl overdose. That is unacceptable. And Congress has to act, but not act on an island. We need to act from a standpoint of collaboration, bipartisanship, in moving our communities forward and moving our nation forward. Because when people think about Washington right now, they think about partisanship, they think about blame, and they think about division. And I'm proud to say in Stockton, we've made incremental process. Where we may have been 100 officers short, we have reauthorized the measure that allowed us to invest $12 million on a permanent annual basis, making Stockton one of the most, if not the most competitive law enforcement agency in our area. For the first time since April of this year, we've seen a net positive in terms of recruitment and retention efforts in the city of Stockton. In fact, law enforcement officers who left Stockton to go to neighboring cities and other counties and other agencies, they are now knocking at the door, coming back to Stockton right now. And we'll hold our applauses to the end, please. I want to be respectful. This race is about each and every one of you in this room. When I show up to serve this community, I don't show up with an R or D next to my name. When I show up to work with this community, I show up to put the needs of this community first, regardless of who you are, because I understand the struggles. And let me tell you this last thing, is that I am so proud that hard times, difficulties, and challenges did not determine my destiny and my ability to be here right now and serve our community as mayor. Because the last 4 years, there's been no greater honor that I've had, is to serve this community that has done so much for my family for multiple generations, and for me as mayor to give back to this community when there was a season that my father and my family took from this community. And so that is the Stockton story. That's the story of the Valley. That's what I'm going to represent. I'm going to represent each and every one of you if I'm blessed enough to be your next representative in California's 9th Congressional District. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you for the two candidates for the first part. So to follow up on the second part of these two candidates, I have two questions for you. The first question is, what is your position on the Southeast Asian Deportation Relief Act of 2023? Would you consider sponsoring the bill? Stockton has a large Southeast Asian refugees population whose families will be greatly affected by the Southeast Asian Deportation Relief Act. Follow-up question, what can you do to address the recurrent funding shortage for the VA Department of Veteran Affairs? There will be veterans in the audience at the forum. Please take it away for 2 minutes.
On each or?
Each.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no. Total, two question, 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mary and Douglas. Look, I think on the Southeast Asian Deportation Act, the reality is Stockton and San Joaquin County were built by our Southeast Asian community. Think about the Hmong and Cambodian population that we have here. We have folks of all nationalities. That's one of the incredible things that makes Stockton so diverse, one of the most diverse cities, not just in America or California, but then the entire world. And there are refugees that are fleeing from violence and even from genocide who are concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to stay in Stockton. That's unacceptable. We can do better. We have a deeply broken immigration system. And this is an immigration system that has not been fixed by Republicans, and it hasn't been fixed by Democrats for far too long. And our Southeast Asian community is only one victim of a much deeper broken system. So it's absolutely something I'm committed to fixing and make sure that no Southeast Asian member of our community is concerned about their future, given especially the immense contributions that they've already made to Stockton. On the VA, like I said, I'm super proud of the work that we've done to get that VA clinic built after 21 years. Most of my gray hairs are due to that project and others. My grandfather was a Vietnam vet, spent 2 tours in Vietnam, came back, had his life cut short by Agent Orange. I never had a chance to really know my grandfather. All I know about are stories and pictures passed down by my mom because of the sacrifice that he made to our country in uniform. And so one of the things that I did, one of my first efforts, is passing a bill to make sure that every single Vietnam vet affected by Agent Orange and other dangerous chemicals had their health benefits covered. That's not enough. We have to make sure that there are the doctors and nurses right here in San Joaquin County to take care of them. We've worked on that. I've brought the director of the VA himself down to our area to hear directly from our veterans and get things done. Thank you.
I really think we need more time to have a comprehensive discussion about this. 2 minutes, 2 questions. Please don't start my clock yet. But no, I respect that. We're going to respect the time. Listen, on my mother's side, I'm the grandson of a Mexican immigrant. My grandfather immigrated here from Jalisco, Mexico when he was 16 years old. Ended up getting a job and working over 40 years at the Tilly Lewis Hormel Cannery. And I will never forget, the same year that he retired was the same year that he gained his citizenship, and it was a celebration for our family. I've realized the American dream in my family. And I think the Asian community and all other communities, because our nation is built on the nation of immigrants, deserve that same opportunity. So I will always support earned pathways to citizenship while providing a safety and security for our community. So that's non-negotiable for me. As it relates to the veterans, first and foremost, I'm a veteran myself of the United States Marine Corps. Served, please, no applause, please. Served from April 2001 to April 2005. No greater honor. I worked for the White House Military Office, served President George W. Bush for 3.5 years, traveling foreign and domestic. My father, my stepfather who raised me, been married to my mother for 37 years. He is 100% disabled, retired veteran from the United States Army. I understand and know firsthand the struggles that our veterans face each and every day, and I will be a champion for each and every one of them in D.C. And I agree with some of the sentiments that the congressman just expressed, but I will make one thing personally clear, is that our veterans in San Joaquin County have advocated for over 2 decades for that VA hospital, and they're continuing to fight, but they should not have to fight because they've already made the sacrifices for each and every one of us. And as your next congressional representative, I'm going to be a voice and a champion for the veterans of this county.
Thank you. We gave 2 candidates some big questions, not enough time. So I'm going to give each one of you a closing minute. So if you would like to take it, go right ahead. 1 minute.
It's been an honor and a joy of my life for the last 4 years to serve our great city of Stockton, California. California's 11th largest city, and we've made tremendous amount of progress. Where our nation and our state is facing billions and trillions of dollars of deficit, the city of Stockton for consecutive years have ended with a $40 to $60 million surplus where we've been able to invest back into our community. We are taking action, and I will continue to take action in representing each and every one of you in Washington, D.C. This city, this country has my heart, and there's no greater honor that I'll be able to have as your next congressional representatives is to serve our country again in Washington, D.C. God bless you all.
Thank you. Look, the issues will change. What's most pressing to our community will evolve. I'll tell you one thing, which is the values that drove me to do what we can to help our community will not. I have abided by my core values since the first day in office, which are to be independent. I don't focus on good ideas from one party or the other. 95% of the bills I write or co-sponsor in Congress come with somebody from the opposite side. Not trying to, find areas of disagreement, but trying to identify common ground where we can actually get work done on water, on veterans care, on making sure that we're lowering cost of living for folks across our area. I will be and have been relentlessly local. You don't see me yelling at somebody else on cable news like far too many performance art politicians that exist across our country right now. My job is to make Stockton and San Joaquin County better. And then the third, to make sure that we actually get things done. There are no partial points that are awarded in this job. You have to actually move, whether that's getting a VA clinic established or anything else. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me thank our two congressional candidates, Mayor Kevin Lincoln and Josh Harder. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're honored to have both of you here. We're going to continue with our program and invite a candidate for Supervisor District 3 who arrived recently. We did hear from Steve DeBrum and Sunny Daliwa earlier, and we'd like to welcome for 5-minute brief remarks from Tom Patty. Is he here? He was here. Oh. Tom Patty? Oh, he's running for mayor. Okay, okay. I'm reading something else here. Okay. Oh, he's listed twice here. Oh, right. Okay. So now we will go on to the mayoral race because he is our part of our mayoral race. We'd like to invite, there are 3 candidates for this race, and it is our 5th panel. There are 5 minutes per candidate. Christina Fugazi, please welcome Christina Fugazi. Kevin Lincoln, current mayor, and Tom Patty. Thank you so much. Tom Patty, okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yes. Yes, and I want to just share some other quick background, learning so much about this wonderful county and city that one of the statistics that we learned is that the unemployment rate is so important because of the economy here locally, the effective mayoral race and many other panels as well. So I think it was a study in August of 2024 this year at 6.8%, which is decreasing, but still higher than the nation's average of 4.4%. And so the economy and jobs are so important for small business owners, and people are seeking to support their families. So that's something we can keep in mind along with many other priorities. And again, thank you so much. We'd like to give each of you 5 minutes to share your remarks. Let us know your background, your priorities, and your vision for our great city of Stockton. And Christina, you'll go first, alphabetical order. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There it goes. Thank you so much. Christina Fugazi, 30-year educator of Stockton kids. 30 years I've been serving. 8 years then on Planning Commission, 8 years as a city council member, and I was vice mayor 4 years under 2 different mayors. So I'm very proud of that work. But the work that I'm most proud of has to do with our children. You want to know what my top priority is? My top priority is public safety. All the other things we talk about, don't matter unless we have a safe community, because a safe community covers everyone in our community, and that should be priority one. Following that, my vision for this city is for a safe, clean, and healthy city. I served South Stockton, so south of Harding Way, where we had one grocery store for that entire area. That is what we call a food desert. We definitely need to make sure the reason we don't have development downtown necessarily is because there's nowhere to get fresh fruits and vegetables and food on a daily basis. So as we move through that and that vision, one of the things we can't do is we can't do it on our own. We have to work collaboratively. As a science teacher, I already know about working collaboratively. We need to build bridges. We have to work with all of our council members because it does take 4 votes to get things moved in city council. But we also have to be respectful. We have to respect each other, and we have to build a respectful environment so people feel empowered to come before us and share their thoughts and ideas. Because guess what? Good ideas can come from anyone and anywhere. But Stockton often goes outside of the city to bring somebody else in to look at our city and tell us, oh, this is what you need to do. No, the people here are where we should be pointing our direction to for what they need. We need to be listening to people, and that's something that I do every single day, is open my doors. I have an open door policy with my students, with parents, as well as with the public. And I make it one of my priorities to make sure that I am available to them. Moving from that, we have to be able to inspire and engage. I did Council Members Digest. The reason why I did Council Member Digest before every meeting, I went over all the agenda because I wanted to engage the community. I wanted to let them know what was on the agenda. I wanted them to say, hey, I care about that. I need to let my council member, my mayor, I need to put it in this Facebook Live and say how I feel about things. Because guess what? We serve you. We work for you. You hire us, you fire us. If we're not taking care of our constituency, then we're not doing our job. So when there is carryover funds, when we have over $40 million unspent, the public should be part of the decision-making process as to where that money goes. And as I look out here, I can tell you that I have personal relationships with people in this crowd, especially in our Asian community, because guess what? I show up. When I get invited to things, I am there. I am there to make sure that I am giving honor to those that came before me, because guess what? I'm generation number 5. There are 7 generations of my family in this city, and I'm very proud of that because my great-great-grandfather helped build the Deepwater Channel. And I know Tracy Glaves was in here somewhere, but that Deepwater Channel is the lifeblood of our community. Without that, we wouldn't have most of the things that we have because this is an agricultural community. I see Chris Cannon in the back. He has edible schoolyard. These are all things that are important. All these people, we need to work together. There needs to be one Stockton where, like I said, good ideas can come from anyone, and you will have a seat at the table. If I am mayor, I will tell you that inclusivity is the way I lead, having you be a part of that decision-making process. And I would be honored beyond belief to be your mayor and work for you every single day like I do for the children of this community. Thank you.
It is such an honor for myself and my friend Christina to be standing here in front of you and speaking as hopefuls for this position of mayor in the city of Stockton. What a great city this is. This is a city of enterprise and opportunity. My family moved here. We came in 1969. My father didn't know a single individual in town and built a business. 10 years later, he had 25 employees, and he's a premier sign and crane company. We built relationships. We also listened in the community what's needed. When I'm out on a job, when I was as a business owner, I'm out working for decades with people and listening, what's the challenges, what's the issues, and then you become responsive. And when I was a business owner, the opportunity came to serve the public as a county supervisor. Why? Because business people rarely get involved. We're constantly under pressure, dealing with challenges, but we're paying attention to the challenges and we're meeting and exceeding expectations just to stay in business. So it took that same idea, that entrepreneurial idea, and brought it to San Joaquin County, and what could we do different, better, or more of it? And I'll be honest, over the last 8 years, sometimes I've ruffled feathers. Sometimes I've had political attacks that are unforeseen and very divisive and malicious by nature. But that's okay. That's part of the game. You have to have, sometimes they say you have to have thick skin. But ultimately, it's not about me. What are we doing that's transitional? How are we changing the trajectory of where we are? Well, San Joaquin County, I'm proud to say, in 8 years, we've doubled San Joaquin County's revenues. Absolutely doubled it. How? Well, trust me, we are not developers, but we facilitated development. We facilitated business expansion. When Tesla and Kraft Heinz wanted to expand in my district, I had to go up to Sacramento and fight the bureaucracy. Every week it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But we kept pushing forward, and we were successful. 1,000+ jobs in that region right there alone. But that's not enough. When I first got involved on the board, every year annually there was a non-government organizations, about $400,000 a year, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, 20,000 there. In the last 8 years, and last year alone, $5 million went to non-government organizations to help them with a new roof, with new air conditioning, with services to the community to make a difference. That's still not enough. One thing I noticed, never do the veteran organizations show up and go, hey, we need an AC unit. We've got problems with our plumbing. We've got facilities that are worn down, and they are decades old. So myself and the other supervisors, we worked together. We allocated $4 million to every single veteran facility that serves the veterans here in our community, because they serve not only each other, but they continue to serve the community. It's partnerships that make a difference. It's thinking outside the box. It's challenging the status quo, because I can assure you, staff is not coming up with the ideas. It's the representatives that are listening to the people that elect us that come forward with ideas, and staff will help us and they'll facilitate us. And if you hit that roadblock, yes, ruffle those feathers. Make people uncomfortable. Make the person that's also an elected representative, bring them on board. Create a coalition of support and move things forward. I'm very lucky. We just got Paul Canepa almost 2 years ago now. And he had ideas that we brought into the board that we, in partnership, working with cities, working with the county, working with resources, facilitating success that's going to be transitional. Something we did, we just renewed $500,000 Delta College for 1,000 jobs for 1,000 students. Go back 3 years ago, I worked with then President Porzanjani, and we created a pathway for paid internships for students that have never had work experience. I met a student just last night at a local restaurant, iYogi, and she was saying that that helped her get her first job, and now she's continuing her education, and she has a career path. So these are ideas that they're not on the table plate. They're not what county supervisors do. They're not normally what you're going to find in your elected representatives. But when you build partnerships, when you have a coalition, when you're part of the private sector, as an employer where I've created millions of dollars of income, resources, and commerce right here in our county, and I've employed people that were previously incarcerated, created pathways to success. We have pathways to success for an entire community when we join together and work on those solutions. Think outside the box, challenge the status quo, and take action. Enough talk, talk, talk. Let's take action. Thank you very much.
Let's give a round of applause to our mayoral candidates. Next up, it's our panel number 6, our city council candidates. However, I want to read this short message to all of us first before I call them up here. Just wanted to take a moment to share another interesting fact with our candidates and the audience. Homelessness in Sunwalking has doubled based on the latest point in time count report. It has increased by 104% in the past 2 years. This number is currently at 4,732 unhoused individuals. They live in encampments, sleeping on the streets. This reflects struggles of housing affordability and rising inflation. With that said, I would like to call our City Council candidates up here. Jason Lee. Waqar Rizvi. And Kimberly Wonsley. Yeah. So.
And we'll go in alphabetical order, 5 minutes each, starting with Jason Lee. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
And you can feel free to sit or stand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we checked earlier. We didn't know that you were here. So let's see here. Gina Velades and Mario Enriquez. All right. Thank you. So if that's the case, then Mario will go first. Each candidate has 5 minutes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for having us. Thank you, APAPA, for hosting this discussion, and thank you all for being here. My name is Mario Enriquez. I'm proudly running for Stockton City Council District 4. And I'm a proud product of the Central Valley. We have to think about our government and our leadership as people that you have invested in from day one. Our youth matter. And as a young person, I want to give a shout out to Mayor Sonny Dhaliwal in the back. I know he spoke earlier. When he was a council member in 2003, I was 13 years old, living in the city of Lathrop. I was the president of the Lathrop Youth Advisory Commission, and my goal was to build the first ever skate park for the city of Lathrop. That time we had about 8,000 people. So at 13, government leaders like Sonny Dhaliwal believed in a 13-year-old kid that I can make a skate park happen. I worked with 10 other young people. That was my first taste of public service. So no one can tell me that young people can't make things happen for the cities that. And after that, I was inspired. My parents came here from Mexico, in Coahuila, Mexico, which is south of Texas. I'm a son of immigrants. I know firsthand, just like the Asian community, the language barriers that we face. We have our kids who go to grocery stores who have to translate for their parents. Being bilingual, or if you can't speak English, I know firsthand, as my mom doesn't speak the best English, but she does the best she can because she cares about this community. But after that, I went off to UOP, where I now work, so that's why I'm dressed. We have our homecoming weekend, so I'm with my students right now at the moment. But when I went to UOP in Lathrop, being a youth advisory commissioner, we actually lost our home. My family was displaced, I was homeless, and it was because of the university, I got to live in the dorm. And don't tell me that when I'm working 3 jobs, trying to get my bachelor's degree to pursue the American dream, just like many of you understand, I was sleeping on my dorm room floor. My mom was sleeping in my twin dorm bed. And I would tell my mom, Mom, everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna figure it out. Just like all of us have those conversations that we want our kids to pursue the American dream. I'm proud that my sister and I graduated with our bachelor's degree. In 2010, when Forbes magazine called us the most miserable city in America, I said, we are better than that. I am equipped with the skill set and tools of my immigrant parents and the community of Stockton who helped us during our time of need. And I said, we need leaders in government who are the most equipped and trained to truly serve each and every one of you. So I went off to Washington, D.C., and I worked for the largest Latino civil rights organization called National Council of La Raza. I got to work with organizations like NAACP, Asian Pacific civil rights groups, for 3 years working with our young people, because I know that when you invest in young people, you see the real change in our government, in our nonprofit, in our business sectors, our education sectors. I said, all right, so from 13 now I'm 36, what else can I do? I will show you and tell you right now, every single year for the last 23 years of my life, I said, what can I do better to be better for Stockton, for the Central Valley that gave me so much in public service. We need to elect leaders who have not just a one issue, but are multifaceted in various sectors. And as an educator, as a professor of civic leadership, empowering my students, I know that that's what I'm doing because I'm building leaders in our community. I am multifaceted and I worked in various sectors. I worked on Capitol Hill for members of Congress, in the House and the Senate. I worked on policy issues impacting all of our communities, and I actually worked for the City Council. So again, you are hiring us to do the job that we're seeking. I've done city government. I've worked for a city council member in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there I am prepping my council member, Dan Gilman, to do the policy work, to tackle homelessness, to tackle infrastructure, to tackle economic development in the post-industrial city of Pennsylvania. But what I'm doing is I'm bringing back best practices to Stockton, from the federal government of leveraging money down to the city government in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the Midwest, getting my master's in public policy at a top 10 policy school at the University of Southern California. The investment is something that I'm continuing to show. So we need to look at track records. I'm more than a one-issue candidate. I'm young, I'm a product of the Central Valley, and I am ready to represent and fight for you on the city council government. And I'm proud to say that just like all of us that are seeking city council, I'm one of the few candidates that actually goes to city council meetings. I show up, I speak up for the community, I take notes, I give public comment, I inspire people in my district, this very district where we are right now, to go to city council and they give public comment, whether it's in English or in Spanish, where I've translated them for them to speak. And now we see more Spanish speakers and those that don't speak English coming to city council. That's who I am. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to be here. My name is Jason Lee, and I am a lifelong Stocktonian. My whole family migrated here from Mississippi and Los Angeles many decades ago, and their kids had kids, and their kids are now having kids. So I'm overwhelmed by the amount of family members I have in this city. But I'm happy to be here because what I know for sure when I started this whole process of running for Stockton City Council, a city that I am a proud product of, is that I was able to meet with one of my constituents who told me, do not run as a politician, just run as a person. Run as you, let them see your heart. Don't go in there and do what they do. And that has stuck with me this entire process, and that's why I'm winning in my district. Let me tell you the issues that I know for sure have been issues in South Stockton and Stockton for many decades that I've been addressing along the way. And they're very personal to me. And so when people say, oh, this is personal to him, let me tell you why. My mother raised me in this community on Park and Sutter Street as a single mother who struggled with drug addiction. When drugs rolled into our communities in the early 80s, she became a victim of that, and we found ourselves living in a motel on California Street. And when she couldn't care for me anymore, she put me in foster care because she didn't want me to slip through the cracks and become a part of the community that she had fallen into. And so through my journey in foster care and getting out, I found myself running the streets of Stockton with my cousins on South Scribner, and I ended up getting shot. So when we talk about public safety and when we talk about surviving gun violence, I'm a product of that. And then at 19, when I got to a crossroad of, do I want to stay here with my family or move away and pursue my dreams, I had a going-away party and watched my brother get murdered right here in Stockton, California. And I had an opportunity at that time to decide, am I going to become a product of what I have been experiencing, or am I going to turn the page and become an example to my cousins and to my family and to my community? And that is what I chose to do. Over those years, after losing my brother, I went to work for SUSD at Stagg High School, where I graduated. I went on to work at probation and learning the playground to prison pipeline and the work that we need to do in our communities of color to help make sure that we enrich the lives of young black and brown people so they can coexist in the community that is diverse like Stockton and be positive products of that community. I went on to work at a union where I was fighting for healthcare workers across the state with Kaiser Permanente, and that's where I learned the power of collaboration. That's why I've worked with Paul Canepa and other community leaders here to bring Prop 1 money to Stockton so we can get a piece of the $6 billion pie that Stockton has not pursued at the city. I've gone and talked to parents who are still burying their kids in a city where crime has doubled, where the unhoused has doubled in the last 2 years, as you said earlier, 104%. When we have a navigation center that's been given funding and has not been functional yet. What I plan to do in addressing public safety is look at how we can incorporate a police commission. That could be advisory and work having community members like you sit at the city hall to give advice to the city council on what the police department needs, or do independent investigations when we see that that's not happening. When we talk about this room today, I want to talk about you, the Asian American community, because right now if you go to City Hall, you can't have translation provided because this richly diverse community believes that you should remain invisible, that you should not have a seat at the table. And I'm going to spend the rest of this time today very briefly to say that when I am elected, that seat that I sit in at City Council is your seat. When I'm sitting there, I will be talking for you, not at you. And the last thing is, I funded my own campaign. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars reaching every single voter because my vote is not for sale now, and it won't be for sale when I'm there. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Waqar Rizvi, and I'm running for District 2. And first of all, I'd like to thank APAPA for giving an opportunity. And this is a very new thing for me, because this is the very first debate I'm able to talk, because my opponent has never been to a single candidate forum. And that's not right. Because when we are running for city council, we need to be available for you all to talk to us. We need to be available for you to listen and hear your concerns. I want to applaud these people right here standing by me. I feel really privileged and honored. Look at the diversity in this stage. Could we have an applause? No, we can't, because it's against the rules. So we will do it later. But anyway, again, my name is Waqar Rizvi, and I'm running for the right reasons. I work for County of San Joaquin since 2005. I have dedicated my life to public service. I've been on the Planning Commission for last 8 years, serving District 2. I have 2 young kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. My 10-year-old is on a special need autism, so I'm very sensitive to special needs kids. There are a lot of special needs kids in our community, and they need a voice, and I will be their voice because I have my own son going through that. I'm a product of immigrants. My wife immigrated, their family immigrated from Mexico, and mine from Pakistan. We met here in this great city of Stockton. I've lived here 30 years. Stockton gave me my home, my job, my family. I am completely vested in this city, in this town. And that shows from my involvement. From the very start at San Joaquin Delta College, I ran to be the student body president, which I won. That presidency during that year in '99 got me interested in philanthropy and community involvement. And I never stopped because of that reason, I chose to work for San Joaquin County, because I wanted to make sure I dedicate my life to public service. And so did my wife, Maria. She's a veteran teacher for Stockton Unified School District for last 22 years. And we made sure that we invest in our community, because when you invest in your community, the community flourishes. And that's why all of these candidates today, they want to do that. Biggest thing that I want to talk to you about is accessibility. I will be always accessible. We have all talked about the same issues. Public safety is an issue we all agree upon. Homelessness is an issue. Again, homelessness is a very complicated issue, because we need to decide how are we going to deal with that, not alone as city council member, but it is a collaborative effort that needs to happen between city council, San Joaquin County Board, state level. And what we need to find out, how do we house those individuals? And how do we find pathways for them to be successful alone when they get housed? Mental health issue has been another big thing for the last many, many years, especially post-COVID. We need to deal with that. I want to talk to you about why people run for city council. The biggest reason people run for city council is they want to make a difference in their community. It's never to get rich and famous because hardly anyone know who your city council member is. While I'm knocking, people don't even know the city council members are elected a lot of times. So we are all running for the right reason. All I want you to do is do your research. Make sure you're voting for the right candidate who will be there for you in the city hall. It's going to be your voice in the city hall for you. I am Waqar Rizvi, running for District 2 City Council. I hope to earn your vote on November 5. Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right. Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Wormsley. I'm a lifelong Stocktonian. I'm also a social worker. I grew up in South Stockton and lived there my entire life. I was brought up by strong Black women who understood what being a servant meant. My grandmother was part of the state union, so I knew right away what the ideologies of supporting unions were at a very young age. And most importantly, understanding the struggles of South Stockton. South Stockton has historically been disinvested. It has been historically misrepresented. Before my journey as a council member, I understood the traumas in our community. That's why I became a licensed clinical therapist, and that's why immediately after I received my license, I started to provide free services to young people and parents and anyone who needed just a support in my community because I wanted to invest. So, you know, my journey as a politician has nothing to do with wanting to run for office. It kind of lands on you, to be honest, as you continue to excel in your own professional goals or inspirations. But I will tell you this. Being on the Stockton City Council, I have been charged with a lot of responsibilities. That's because I show up, and that's because when I advocate for my district and my community, I remember every single face in those conversations. In fact, I was tasked with going to the US Pentagon a couple years ago, because in 1994, South Stocktonians taxed themselves for a levy. Y'all tax yourself for a levy, and the US Pentagon never reimbursed the city. Going in, a lot of people thought that I was not going to be successful in my ask. And you know what? With the voices of South Stockton, our disparities, our disinvestments, the need to elevate communities of color who have historically been overlooked, we received $3.5 million for that reinvestment from 1994. I've also done things like reinvest in the McKinley Park that went dormant for 8 years without anyone blinking an eye. Or how about the Van Busker redesign, the $79 million redesign that no one even thought about? People forgot about it. We gave it to Swinston, granted, but what about South Stockton residents? So reinvesting in that golf course and making sure that South Stocktonians were not left behind was significant. When we talk about our public safety, let's be clear that Measure A revitalization brought back officers to our communities. It continues to reinforce our dedication and our commitment to public safety. We're working hard to ensure that we are restoring trust in South Stockton because we know that it has been historically left behind. And I want to just point out, it is so easy to point out the problems. Anybody can point out the problems, but what solutions do they bring? Because right now, we're rebuilding our police force. Our officers are coming back. And you know what? Young people like my son, who's 17 years old, 6'1", just told me that he wanted to be a police officer. And it wasn't because I was pushing that on him. It was because of the trust that we're restoring in our young people. And that is significant. Let's talk about mental health services and homelessness. The majority of our unhoused community members either face substance abuse issues, mental health issues, or medical issues. The city is revitalizing the way that we're conducting our homeless shelter and making sure that we're providing services while people are on site so that we can hopefully get them stabilized. And lastly, I will put this out there because we talked about the homeless numbers doubling. Well, other surrounding cities have to take responsibility of their crises and not just push people into Stockton. So as a city council member, I have been an innovator, a collaborator, and I will continue to elevate the voices of South Stocktonians because you do matter, I do care, and I'm here to do the good work. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gina Valadez Bracamonte, and I'm running for Council District 4. This is District 4. A little bit about my background. I was raised in Stockton. I've lived in this area almost my entire life. I have 2 children. I married young, and unfortunately, I divorced young. And I found myself in a very unfortunate situation when I was a young mother. I found myself homeless when my husband and I split up. Many people don't know that, and even my coworkers and my family didn't realize that at the time. And with my 3-year-old daughter and myself, after I would get off work and everybody in the office would go home, we would make a pallet on the floor and we would sleep in my office. I'd get up early and I would get ready for work before everybody returned to work, and then I would leave and take my daughter to childcare. So I've experienced some hardships. I've experienced the homeless route. I've experienced the single mother route, which I applaud all the single mothers out here because it's a tough job, probably the toughest job I've ever had to do. But I've raised 2 children. I have 12 grandchildren now. I've lived in this town my entire life, and I've worked in this town my entire life. I want to say that I've also served this town my entire life. I've got a background of community service. I started a program called Bread of Life when the housing market crashed in 2008, and these streets in this neighborhood, I walked and knocked on doors, and I spoke to the people that were losing their jobs and losing their homes, and I invited them to come and participate in a program where we could provide groceries to help their families. I did that, and it became, I didn't realize how much of a need it was, but it exploded. And as that program grew, I continued to reach out not just to the people, but to the schools and other people in this community helping people. It is so important that I think public servants connect with the individuals, that we connect with people where they are. I'm a normal person, a regular person. I'm not a politician. I'm not running for this seat for any kind of fame or fortune. I'm here to serve my community. One thing I would say is that I've got a business background. I don't have an education in policy making, but everything that I've done in business, I've learned. And I can give you examples of thinking outside the box of things that I have done in business that have elevated me. When I started working for Zuckerman Family Farms 30 years ago, I started as a receptionist, and I quickly moved myself up the ladder, and I did that by engaging in trade groups. I did that by engaging with my customers and my clients. I went to school and I got some education on business, and I learned how to think outside the box. And I was able to streamline a lot of the processes in the business that help our company grow. In fact, when I told the owner, Eddie Zuckerman, and Dennis Gardemeyer was running for city council, he put his arm around me and said, "You've been a big part of my success, and I want to be a big part of yours. I'm here to serve my people. I'm here to serve this city." And one thing I will say, one thing I think is very, very important is we all stand here and tell you what our qualifications are and what we've done for this community. We're all voters. Really look at the character, because I can learn how to lien a property. I can learn how to collect money. I can learn how to read policy and read a balance sheet. But character is something that you have. Look at the person's character and know who you're voting for. And when it comes to the top issues in the city and for the Asian community and all business owners, I believe, it's public safety. We've got to We have got to, as a city as a whole and a county, really get on top of the public safety issue. My neighbor was robbed at 4 a.m., pulled out of her bed about a month ago while she was sleeping by two men who broke into her house, 63 years old. There were not enough law enforcement officers on the street at that time. We really need to push public safety, and that is what that's my number one top agenda when it comes to the city of Stockton is public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we please give a warm applause for all these outstanding city council candidates? Thank you so much. We have two panels remaining. One is the Lathrop Mayor and then the local Unified School District, the school race. We'd like to invite our three candidates for mayor. This will be about 20 minutes total for the next two panels. Each of the mayoral candidates have 5 minutes total for their remarks to address their priorities, their vision, what are the important issues to this community. And we hope you'll stay for the last two panels, so super important, especially the mayoral race, such a vital key leadership position in this community. Please join me in welcoming Paul Akinjo, candidate for mayor of Lathrop, as well as Paul Camarina, and Mansour Faisal. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. And to kick it off, we will ask for Paul Camarina to speak first. Oh, actually, Paul Acagino. Am I saying the name right? Paul Acagino to speak first, followed by Paul Camarina, and then Mansour Faisal. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, APAPA, for the invitation. My name is Paul Akinjo, and asking to be the next mayor of Lathrop. I've been on the city council for 12 years, and my mayor, Sonny Daliwa, has covered most of the things, but I'm going to get some few things. Thank you. I'm going to get some few things out quickly. Lathrop is not broke. Lathrop is not begging. And Lathrop is always sufficiently enough to manage its resources. So because what you are going to hear from my opponents is that Lathrop is broke. Everything is wrong. So I was going through the city and somebody asked me, Paul, what exactly is broken in Lathrop that needs 4 candidates, mayoral candidates, to fix? And we start to look at those situations, and we are unable to really pinpoint one thing that Lathrop has done wrong. We are not perfect. We can do better. But in 12 years of service, like our mayor said, we have become number 1 in this county, number 5 in the whole nation as a progressive and fastest growing city. The 209 said we are the safest city to live in. And number 3 or number 4 on the agenda was that we are sustainable. We learned a lesson from 2012 and the real estate bust. And our mayor then, along with myself and some other city council members, instituted a discipline that we were going to manage our resources well. And we've been having surpluses since then. We did create the Measure C funding to help our police, to help our fire department, and to help to build some of the resources that improves the quality of life for our people. So what you are seeing in Lathrop now, everybody said, hey, Lathrop, you are doing this. This is a deliberate 10-year planning that we had in place. So I just want to get that one out quickly because you're going to hear so many things. You're going to hear about education, which is not under us. You cannot do anything in education unless you go through the Department of Education or the Unified School District system that we have in Lathrop. that we have that governs their own entity, but we can work together. We can make recommendations to them, and we can solve problems for our students, for our mothers, for everybody that works in the city of Lathrop. Now, on a personal issue, I'm also seeing the immigration part that has constituted most of the speakers today. I'm an immigrant from Nigeria, and I came here straight to Oakland. You heard about single mothers, you heard about all this. I was a single father. And it was not my intention to be a single father. I came during the crack epidemic in Oakland. So I lost my wife, I lost my daughter through the process of this drug epidemic. So my only son that was there, the state looked at everything. Somebody spoke about character, integrity. They look at it. They don't give you the children because you are a fine-looking young or tall young man. They saw that I have the character and the tenacity to raise my son. He's now working for the city of Oakland. He's still there in Oakland. And my daughter is here in Stockton at Delta College. So I have spent my time with the military. It was this same drug epidemic to show tenacity, that makes me enlist in the United States Army. And I was there, but the drug brought me back to serve in the reserve unit in a campus in central Dublin. So we are here not to make any big noise about what we have done. What we are going to be doing in Lathrop is to build on the success of our mayor, Sonny Dhaliwal, and to do a little bit more. Thank you so much. Thank you for your vote. Thank you for everything you have done.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Paul Camarina. I'm running for mayor of Lathrop, as well as these other two fine gentlemen. I've been in Lathrop since 1989. Originally, I was born in San Jose. My family originally went to to Stockton. And that's where I started kindergarten. However, for those of you who may remember, there was a mass school shooting at Cleveland Elementary School in January of 1989. I was there. And so I witnessed firsthand, thank God, obviously, I made it out alive. There were several students that day that were not as blessed as I was to be able to walk away from that incident. So there's a lot of talk about safety in this venue today. I've seen it firsthand. There was another candidate, unfortunately, who lost his brother. My sincerest condolences out to you. So I have witnessed the essence of when we say safety. I've witnessed it firsthand in my own life as a young man, as a young boy here in Stockton. About 2 or 3 weeks after that, we moved to Lathrop, and that's basically where I've called home since 1989. So I've been in Lathrop for 35 years. And so the reason that I'm running for mayor of Lathrop is first and foremost, I have a vested interest in the strategic development of the community of Lathrop. I've been here and I plan on retiring unless God calls me somewhere else. I plan on staying in the city of Lathrop. Some of my opponents, one of which just went before me, Paula Kinjo, thank you for all your years of service in the city council. But there was no mention about anything that actually of substance that came out of those 12 years in which he served as council member. My priority is to address the specific question, the two questions that were actually asked in this forum. What are your priorities? My priorities are simple. It's three main things, and that's safety, education, and jobs. Number one is safety, ensuring that we remain a safe city for the benefit of our young ones, of all of our families really in general, so that not only are the fathers and the mothers that originally moved to Lathrop, but ultimately the generations that will hopefully call Lathrop home. We need to make sure that our streets are safe so that Lathrop doesn't become another city or municipality where theft is basically allowed, it's just frowned upon, and then bigger fish are basically sought after, and the theft is basically allowed. Lathrop has a zero tolerance policy for our police department. One of the things that I've learned firsthand in speaking with our current police chief is that every city actually has the ability to set a policy that is actually stricter than the state. You can have a policy that mirrors the state, or you can actually enact a law enforcement policy that's stricter. Lathrop does that, and I will make sure that it remains that way, so ultimately our families for many generations remain and continue to call Lathrop their home. Number one, education. One of my opponents just mentioned education. It's interesting that Lathrop used to be governed law enforcement by the county sheriff. And when Lathrop took matters to its own hands, we are now governed by our own Lathrop Police Department. So it's a bunch of nonsense, to be quite honest, to say, education, we just have to look at our current school board and just basically it is what it is. That's a falsehood. And number three, it's jobs. The San Joaquin County, the comment was made earlier, San Joaquin County has about 800,000 people in population. That's about the size of one city called San Francisco. Yet San Francisco has about 4% of the land square miles that all of San Joaquin County has. It's really one of my number one priorities after safety, education, and jobs to bring home those jobs that a lot of people, myself included, commute to the Bay Area for and bring them home. Really for the ultimate goal of having a one-stop shop where people ultimately, to address the second question about the impact to the Asian American community, people need to have more time to be able to spend with their families and with their loved ones. And if when I create a one-stop shop solution where it's safety, education, and then really closing that gap of bringing home those high-paying jobs that people commute to the Bay Area for and bring it home, Asian American people and all people within Lathrop, and I would say even probably to the community at large, will ultimately be able to spend more time with their loved ones. And that's really, at the end of the day, it's family. Thank you.
Okay, so the way I want to give you guys this introduction is I'm going to tell you a couple of things. First one is going to be a little bit of history with regards to the city of Lathrop, why it matters. And the second one will be with regards to what I'm trying to accomplish and my major goals with regards to the city. The last one will be, if we have enough time, who I am. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who I am, it matters what we're trying to accomplish. The city of Lathrop, many people may not know this, it's only 35 years old. I'm older. As one of the youngest people in the candidate panel, I'm older than my city, okay? So we're a city that's in its infancy. The reality is that you've heard many people, including our current mayor, speak about the fact that when he first started, there was only 6,000 people in the community. Now there's 37,000. So we've grown exponentially and substantially. Some really cool and fun facts when it comes to the city as a whole and San Joaquin County as a whole. In the last 4 years, we were 57% of the growth in the entire county. That means that more people moved to our city than any other city and every other city combined in San Joaquin County. That's why we brag about being the #1 fastest growing city in the state of California and the 5th fastest growing city in the nation. But with that comes problems. The problems are we're really good at building houses, but if you ask about the city in any other regard, we're missing a bunch of things, okay? We don't have enough restaurants. We don't have enough grocery stores. We don't have enough activities or events. If you want to have a date night with your significant other, you have to leave the city because there are very, very limited options within the community in order to do those kinds of things. So we're a small city and we're very, very young, but we're trying to grow and we're growing exponentially. We're doing a wonderful job of growth, but a city building takes more than just building houses or making people move there. You have to be able to provide the services and the support for those people in order to flourish within that community. In order to do that, I have 3 priorities as well. My first priority is public safety, similar to my candidates, the other candidates as well. The difference is I've been meeting with our police department and our chief of police every single month for the past 6 months and discussing everything. So, for example, most people don't know, our police department's only 2 years old. And since the time of its inception, it's only grown by about 6 officers. FBI statistics require that we have 1.2 officers for every 1,000 people. Remember I told you that we've grown over 10,000 people in the last 4 years, but we didn't grow enough police officers to support that number of people. We currently don't have a traffic division. So when we say that there are no problems in Lathrop, there are no police officers providing traffic patrol and traffic enforcement in the city as of today, right now. These are the kinds of issues where I say that there is an issue. I have a proposition that I proposed to with our current chief of police explaining an opportunity how we can have a net positive and growth. And it's very important for a small city like ours because when you hear that the city of Stockton has a deficit of 100 police officers and one of the most competitive pay rates, then we have to find a way to get officers in our little city as well. And I'm not going to ignore that opportunity. We're looking at outside of the box options on how to grow the city police department as well as our fire department as well. The second piece of it has to do with enhanced and sustainable growth. Like I said, we've got a lot of houses and a lot of people living in those houses. Our household income has grown substantially, but we don't have the services to provide for those people. We only have actively 3 paramedics, and that's a big deal when it comes to our fire department. And how many of them are our first responders? If you were to have, God forbid, a heart attack or some kind of a illness while you're in the city of Lathrop, you have a lower chance of probability of having an actual licensed paramedic servicing you than just an EMT, and there is a difference. These are the kinds of things that most people ignore when they look at the grander picture. They think that these things don't matter or they're not paying enough attention to them. I'm looking at all of the fine details. When we talk about jobs and additional opportunities within our city, just yesterday I met with the second largest employer in the city of Lathrop, and we discussed a proposition on how to add 200 more jobs within the city of Lathrop without having to go outside of the city, without having to go to the Bay Area or Valley Link system. I'm looking at actual growth within our city. So I'm not talking about just doing things because I want to. I'm not a politician, much like many of the other candidates said. I'm a father of 5. I'm an immigrant, first-generation immigrant myself. My family grew up on welfare and financial hardship because my parents didn't even speak English when they came to this country, and I was only 3 years old. So the reality is that raising 5 children in this community and being a father of 2 children in our elementary school, I care about the public safety, I care about the growth of our community, and I want to make Lathrop be a city that we can live in for the rest of our lives. So that's the important pieces to me and why I decided to get involved in the political arena and in getting involved with my city council. I would absolutely appreciate everyone's support and the opportunity to serve you within our city as the city's mayor, and I promise to do my best to serve in every one of these regards and principles.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging there with all of us. We have come to our last panel, and that is school board. Before I go to the candidates, I would like to read a short statement for all of us that reflect what school boards can do to help. Another point to consider is that education is important to all communities, including the AA and HPI community. A rising tide lifts all boats. San Joaquin has over 200 schools and 135,000 students. However, it lags behind California and the rest of the nation for achieving educational success. In San Joaquin, the county ranks 48 out of 58 California counties with its 86% high school graduation rate. This is an area of opportunity in San Joaquin County and directly affects employment and crimes level as well. It's something to keep in mind as our youth are our future. With that said, earlier when I checked and with our candidates, we had 2. However, I look around the room, I don't see one of them. So is Shauna Priest here? Come on up, please. And we had Gwendolyn Daly coming up. Gwendolyn. And I'm gonna go ahead and ask the other 2 if you're here. Max Bees, Isabel Perez, come on up. Each of you have 3 minutes.
Okay, well, we have 3 minutes. So my name is Dr. Gwendolyn Daly, and I really wish that the school board would be first on the agenda because it is most significant and important because our children are our future. I received 3 degrees from the University of the Pacific and just recently my doctorate. One of my priorities would be to execute the mission of the district. That's the main thing. If you don't have a mission, you can't set a goal. And what the mission is to graduate our students who are competent and ready for college and career, and to help uplift them out of poverty and scarcity. That's some of the things that our district, unfortunately, have not kept their mission. And the way that we do that is that we have to unify Stockton Unified. They're disjointed, and we have to connect them back because so that we can have one voice, and that we can have one vision, and that we don't see, the children won't see the dysfunction in there. I have served my community over 40 years. I have a nonprofit. I worked in our community. I received the key to the city on last year for the work that we have done in education. I worked with UOP in the Office of Admissions with international students. So I understand how vital it is to even meet the needs and even help our migrant community to even be acclimated into the city. I lived on campus at the University of the Pacific and helped a lot of Asian students, minority students, and all. So it is apparent and important that we have people who can cross the aisles and who have been there. As a high school dropout, I stand right now as just a role model of inspiration. But also, too, our kids are not feeling that school is essential. We have to help them, and not only help them, but help their parents. And in this district, which is our district, we have even the school for adults. Students are going back at an older age, such as myself, and trying to get their GED and recoup those educations. I did that already. So I can go back and help them and bring them forward and ask those questions, and did that while I was homeless as well. So even fighting the needs with the kids. Right now I'm dealing with a student who's 12 years old and need help. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Isabel Perez. I'm running for SUSD Board of Trustees for Area 1. I grew up in foster care. I was in the foster system my whole life until the age of 15. My parents were drug addicts. My parents were also parolees in and out of prison, and my mother married a sex offender when I was 8 years old. So I've endured some extreme hardships in my life. I dropped out of school. I followed my parents' path. I also was an addict, had a child early. However, school was my only safe space growing up. School was my only positive support system. If it weren't for the teachers that I had to mentor me and give me the training wheels that I needed to succeed in life, the support staff were also mentors. They helped me to believe in myself. They paved a path for me, and I walked through it. And with that, I want to ensure that our students have a safe space like I did. I want to ensure that our students have support systems that they need in place so that they can be successful too. I know a lot of our students face the same circumstances that I have, and if not even more, heavier weights. I want to help our students. I want to be a mentor to our students. I want to help advocate our students and show them that if I did it, they can do it too. I want to be their hero. And with that, I want to do this with our board. and make it happen. Thank you.
All right, y'all, we made it to the last one. Here we go. My name is Shauna Priest, and I'm running for Area 4 for SUSD. I have strong roots in this community, being born and raised right here in Area 4. I actually live right down the street and was able to walk here today, so I appreciate you all having me. As a former SUSD student, a former SUSD teacher, now a SUSD parent, and a vice principal, I'm looking to bring this educational expertise to our community, to SUSD, to be a representation for our students. I've dedicated my life to be able to ensure that our students are able to be successful, our teachers are able to have the resources that they need to bring their expertise to the classroom, and really being able to bridge a gap from our community to our schools so their voices are sure they are being heard. Being able to do that for the school district is something that's truly passionate for me. I believe that we will be able to do that through something with fiscal transparency and community input. Our community deserves to know where our funds are going and how that money is being spent. We can also do that through open communication. With open communication with our community and input from not only our parents and our community, but our students as well, we will be able to build relationships on trust that will be able to make us successful going down in the future. Also being able to support our teachers. I know firsthand the strengths and the challenges that our teachers face in the classroom, and it is very imperative that we are able to have a voice on the school board to get the resources we need in order for our students to be successful. I look forward to earning your support for District 4, for us to be able to get and work together, work with my fellow trustees. We want to be able to build an SUSD that's built on collaboration, respect, and a unified vision for success in order for us all as a community to be successful. Thank you.
Hello, testing. Thank you so much. So in closing, our panelists of 8, I just want to thank you all. I want to thank my co-moderator, Mary Lou. Thank you for answering tough questions. So we closing our panelists. However, I want to hand it over to our 2 hosts, Len and Douglas, to close our event. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Thank you, everybody, the candidates, our audience, and I also want to thank APAPA, Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs. We are a 501c3 organization. We are nonpartisan, and our mission is to advance our community through leadership and civil engagement. And this is exactly what we do. We don't endorse any candidates, but they're all good. All right, and also, again, thank our CEO, Mary Yin, and our Regional Central Valley Chair, Sean Yan, our moderator today. Thank you.
I also want to thank Steve Su, the sound system gentleman over there. He come here to help us, and we have many volunteers here today. So, and also some special guests here today that we didn't have a chance to, call your name, but we acknowledge that you are here, and so thank you very much. And I also want to remind the audience that, we provide the opportunity for you to get to know the candidates, so make your decision and go vote. Thank you.
November 5th, that is our election day. And you have gotten some good information today and cast your vote. All right, so our Captain Roots, we need a benediction before we can move in here.
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to once again have a word of prayer with you all. Hearing all of these candidates encourages me, and I hope it encourages you that our system works. And may God continue to bless us as a nation. Father, we just come to you this afternoon. We thank you for the opportunity to see how a democracy and a republic can be such an encouragement to all of us. Lord, we are a unique country. You have blessed us, and we pray for, Lord, your continued blessing as these candidates run, as they desire to do their level best to serve us. We give you the thanks for that. Lord, continue to raise up those who would uphold the values and the principles and the freedoms that we enjoy and share as Americans. We ask your blessing as we go from this place today. In your most holy name, amen.